Who's next?
Erica Dodson.
Okay.
Ms. Dodson, if you'll sit up here next to me, please, ma'am. All up here. You'll raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Thank you. If you have a seat. I need you to speak up, and there's a smaller black microphone there in front of you. I need you to speak up so I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you do that for me? Okay, and tell me your first name and last name and spell them both.
Erica, E-R-I-C-A, Dodson, D-O-D-S-O-N.
And just a little louder would help me, okay?
Erica,
Oh, I got it first time. What you watch?
Miss Dodson, if you would, tell us where you're from.
I'm from Nashville, Tennessee.
And what high school did you attend in Nashville?
I attended Hunters Lane High School.
And did you graduate?
Yes.
In what year?
2008.
And after graduation, tell us what you did.
Went to MTSU in the fall.
The fall of 2008.
Yes, sir.
And what's your major?
Nursing.
And are you still at MTSU?
Yes.
And do you expect to get your degree in nursing?
Yes.
In addition to being a student at MTSU, did you have any other jobs or other duties?
Began to work in
And
2010.
And did you ever work at Raiders Crossing Apartments?
Yes.
And do you know when you started there?
April 2010.
And were you employed there in the spring, I guess, of 2011?
Yes.
And what was your title?
Community assistant.
And what does the community assistant do?
Give tours, sell the apartment complex, supply services to the residents.
And so when you say give tours, is that to people who, prospective tenants?
Yes.
And do you know a person by the name of Shanterrica Madden?
Not personally.
Have you ever met her before, to your knowledge?
Once.
Do you know if you would recognize her if you saw her?
Yes.
And if so, tell us if you see her in the courtroom.
No.
Okay. You said you might have met her on one occasion,
Yes.
and do you remember the circumstances?
She was coming to pay her rent.
Now, do you know a person by the name of Tina Stewart?
Not personally.
To your knowledge, had you ever met her?
No.
Were you employed and on duty as a community assistant at Raiders Crossings on March the 2nd, 2011 in the late afternoon?
Yes.
And do you recall receiving any phone calls around 5:30 or so that afternoon from a person that identified themselves as a resident?
Yes.
Did that person give you any other identifying information?
Other than their apartment number and the fact that they were a basketball player.
And that person specifically said they were a basketball player?
Yes.
And what apartment number did that caller give you?
I believe it was, I can't say for sure. I don't want to say for sure.
What was the nature of the call, or why was the person calling?
They said that their roommate was smoking marijuana and that she wanted somebody sent up there to make her roommate stop.
And as a result of receiving that telephone call, what, if anything, did you do?
I called my senior community assistant to get our courtesy officer's number. to have him come up there and resolve the situation.
And tell us what a courtesy officer is.
It's a Murfreesboro police officer who, as a second job, provides services to our apartment complex for situations involving residents.
Now, you told us that you called your senior assistant?
Mm-hmm.
And what was that person's name?
Jennifer Davidson.
And did you know how to get in touch with the courtesy officer?
No, I did not have his number.
And did you receive that from Miss Davidson?
No.
Did you personally ever call the courtesy officer?
No.
Did you know or do you know the name of the person that was the courtesy officer at that time?
Tim Jensen.
Okay, Mr. Jensen, Officer Jensen?
Yes.
Now, you told us you didn't know the apartment, or you can't recall the apartment number that the call came from. Did you have occasion to look up that apartment number on your directory or in your records?
Yes.
And did it list the occupants of the apartment?
Yes.
And who were the occupants?
Clantina Stewart and Shanterrica Madden.
And did you know whether or not Tina Stewart was or was not a basketball player?
Yes, I knew.
And how did you know that?
Before the residents move in, we kind of get an idea of who they are, so I already knew that she was a basketball player.
Okay. Did you receive any other calls regarding this phone call that had come from that apartment and the one that you made to your senior assistant?
Could you ask that question again?
Yes. Other than the call complaining about the roommate smoking marijuana, that was one call. Then you called Miss Jennifer Davidson, your senior assistant.
Mm-hmm.
Did you receive any other calls after that?
Received, no.
Did you make any other calls after that?
I did.
And tell us who you called.
I called Tina Stewart back, and I asked her if she called the office.
And what did she say?
She said yes.
Did you hear anything else about anything happening that night?
Not until later on in the evening.
Okay. And when you heard something later on, where were you?
At home.
What time did you get off work at the apartments that day?
6.
And when you said you heard something later at home, tell us how you heard that.
One of my fellow community assistants and roommate, Jenna Germain, she called me to let me know that something had happened.
And did you turn on the news or find anything about it on the news at that time?
No, she just told me to come to Raiders Crossing, and that's what I did.
Okay. And when you got to Raiders Crossings, what did you find?
There were police, and there was a crowd of people, and some of my fellow coworkers.
And did you learn what had happened?
Yes.
If I could have a moment, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Dodson?
Yes.
What is the phone number of the Raiders Crossing? You said the person told you that they were a basketball player.
Mm-hmm.
Did they make any other references to playing basketball?
As far as scholarships and drug tests.
Okay, and tell us about that.
She said that she was a basketball player. They have random drug tests, and she didn't want her roommate smoking to affect her drug test and her scholarship.
And I know you're from Nashville. You know what county those apartments are in
Rutherford?
and state of Tennessee.
Yes.
Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Grant? Yes, sir.
Ms. Dodson, does Officer Jensen still work for y'all?
No.
Do you have any knowledge of a prior complaint Ms. Stewart had made to your facility about Ms. Madden?
No.
If a prior complaint had been made to your facility, would y'all have followed up on that?
Yes.
Did you follow Ms. Stewart on Twitter?
No.
Thanks.
Other questions, Mr. Watson?
No, Your Honor.
Any questions from our jurors? Not saying anything. Thank you, ma'am. You can step down.